The Vols sent NC State home early. Nico Iamaleava continues to spread the wealth on offense. But how about the defense, setting the tone early and often in this game? And of course, Dylan Sampson, he continues to be a force for the Vols. I'm Paige Dower. This is the Field Pass. Now, in the opening drive of the game, it seemed that NC State's quarterback Grayson McCall was going to be able to find a way to connect with a couple of his receivers like Kevin Concepcion. But all of that was short-lived, thanks to a couple of guys who had a short leash in Game 1 and had a bit more leash in Game 2, and that was Keenan Pili and James Pierce Jr. In NC State's 12th-play opening drive, Pili already had a tackle, half for a loss. James Pierce Jr. had a QB hurry and half a sack as well. Complementing those efforts, though, was the defensive front all night long. It started with Omar Norman-Lott getting a sack on that opening drive as well. A couple of plays later, it's third down, and the Wolfpack would punt on their opening drive. They did that a lot on Saturday. The Tennessee defense forced 3 straight Wolfpack punts to start the game, and if that doesn't set the tone, I don't know what does.
Excited about the way that football team came out and performed defensively. Just an elite performance. From really start to finish. Played so well against the run, tight coverage, applied pressure to the quarterback, just a really good performance.
And even though the eyes were on Pierce and Pili early, as they should have been, the defense was making plays all over the field. Later into the second quarter, with just under 2 minutes to go, it seemed that Grayson McCall and the Wolfpack were inching and knocking on the door of getting their first touchdown of the game. But there was a total breakdown on offense for the Wolfpack, and he was in the right place at the right time. It was Will Brooks who got his first career interception and returned it 85 yards for a pick 6. That play there was a huge momentum swing for the game, because at that point it was 10-3. His pick 6 makes it 17-3 and kind of, busted the game wide open.
To find a window and huge play by Brooksy. It was a part of the straw that broke the back of them. You know what I mean? It started creating momentum for us. So.
Yeah, that was just an incredible play by Will Brooks. It was also the longest pick 6 Tennessee's had in the last 7 years. So again, we mentioned Keenan Pili, we mentioned James Pierce Jr., Will Brooks had a massive play, but the plays across the field continue, whether it's Omar Norman-Lott or it's Dominic Bailey with a do-it-all kind of play. He gets the pressure on Grayson McCall, knocks the ball out of his hand as he's getting set to release it, actually continues with his rush and sacks Grayson McCall, and as he's on his way down to the ground is also able to get the fumble recovery. Tennessee on offense does complement that. They collect 3 points with a field goal. Then later in the third quarter, it's Arion Carter, who we've heard about all offseason, especially when it comes to his film study and everything he's done to continue to elevate his game, from Eric Inch wondering what's wrong with his car because it's still in the parking garage at 10-11 p.m. at night, and he's actually just still inside the building studying. It had a good moment in the third quarter against the NC State Wolfpack as he is able to tackle Hollywood Smothers behind the line of scrimmage for a loss of 2. The Wolfpack would again punt on that drive, and I really think we're going to start hearing his name called a lot more this season. But those types of plays had Josh Heupel in the postgame press conference reminding everybody what the standard at Tennessee is.
The standard at Tennessee is to be elite on defense. This is the home of Reggie White, Al Wilson, Eric Berry.
Of 2 that Arion Carter was able to pull up against the Wolfpack highlighted why they only had 39 total rushing yards. It's because there was 13 tackle for losses by the Tennessee defense.
Man, our defense did great, man. Coming out with a shutout. The only points they had was my points. But yeah, man, the defense played lights out, man. We see that every day in practice, the way they prepare, and that D-line is nasty. So I think overall as a whole defense, they played great.
Now on the flip side, the star on offense has to be Dylan Sampson. He had yet another game. It was a multi-home run game. It was one where he had 2 rushing touchdowns, and complimenting what he did against Chattanooga, where he had 3 rushing touchdowns. He continues to be a dominant force this season.
D-Sam does what he does, man. That's Dylan Sampson, one of the best backs in the country. When we get the ball in his hands, anything could happen at any moment.
And a year ago, Dylan Sampson was best known for his quick twitch, being able to make sharp cuts and get downhill quickly. This year, he's showing he has a lot of power behind him as well. We saw that on at least 3 to 4 plays against the Wolfpack a night ago. I think a couple of plays that exemplifies his toughness that he's able to play with and the amount of yaks he'll probably put up this season was as the play was breaking down for Nico Iamaleava. He has a nice shovel pass to Dylan Sampson. He's pretty much met near the line of scrimmage, but still is able to take it 17 yards. In the second quarter, it's another thing where Iamaleava dumps it off to Samson, and this time he is met at the line of scrimmage. He's wrapped up around his feet, but he's still able to take it 21 yards. He then had another 34-yard run as well, and I think that just shows really how powerful he is. He spent all off season from spring to fall not consistently being at 100%. He said after game 1, he didn't want anyone to know that, he wasn't playing and practicing at 100%. He didn't want to skip a beat when he got out onto the field. No one could argue that he did against Chattanooga, but that's FCS. To do that against a ranked opponent in number 24 NC State at the time, he was still able to continue to do that. And I think that just shows us the force of Dylan Sampson, how much he's changed his body. He still has his speed, but he is a much more powerful runner this season.
Great trust in Dylan. He's a great leader for us, but you can put him in any position. He's a guy that can have success, and that's pass protection. It's as a runner. It's out in space as a receiver. It's getting him, swing passes, whatever it might be. He's got great skill set.
That was also the 5th time for Dylan Sampson that he's had a multi-touchdown game. It's the 3rd time he's had consecutive games with at least 1 touchdown. So he is absolutely a powerful running back this season, as he's shown with the first 2 games of the season. And I don't think anyone's going to be taking the ball out of his hands anytime soon. So Josh Heupel gets his 9th ranked win over an AP ranked opponent. He's now 9-8 against such teams. So I think it would be very reasonable to see them move up at least 1 or 2 spots in this week's AP poll that'll get released later today. But Josh Heupel will be back with the media. He'll talk to us on Monday as they turn their attention to Kent State. We'll recap a little bit more about Nico Iamaleava, how he did. I think the greatest thing that he did was even in those 2 or 3 plays that you wanted to get back, he showed the emotional maturity to get back at it the next play or on the next drive, made great in-game adjustments. I think a lot of that's a credit to the iPads they have on the sidelines as well. So it was great to see that maturity from him, especially as him and Brew McCoy early in the game definitely tried to get on the same page. And again, spreading the wealth again amongst 8 different targets in the passing game. So it definitely shows that he's able to feed a lot of hungry mouths, able to get someone who's open, will definitely go through all of his reads. And if he needs to use his legs, he will. His 31-yard touchdown run looked like it took him 4 steps to get to the end zone. So there's a lot to be encouraged by as the team does turn their attention to Kent State, where they'll be back home inside the friendly confines of Neyland Stadium. But until then, I will chat with you all on Monday. So in the meantime, make sure you like and subscribe to continue supporting me. I've appreciated all of it, and I'll be back Monday.